And no, hear me out.
But how many times and how many ways?
No, but hear me out. So I'll give you an example. Once upon a time, I went into a kebab shop. This is probably about 10 years ago. I was with Pete. Went into a kebab shop, by Trinity. No, like, we weren't on anything. We didn't have anything on us. There was just 2 black guys went to the kebab shop. A bully van pulls up, and 10 police officers come into the kebab shop. I don't recall a time feeling so nervous in my entire life in terms of like being in like proximity of authority like that. Like, and that's bearing in mind, like, I've been arrested before and whatever, but the nervousness I felt in that minute, I've never felt anything like that. And I shouldn't have to feel like that. You see what I mean? Like, I shouldn't, naturally, as a black man, if I see police, it's like I'm preparing myself for the eventuality.
And do you know what's funny is that literally this morning I was having a conversation in the group chat about whether black people should become police officers, and we was having a very similar conversation because literally all of us have had similar experiences, either with the police or just on the roads, like certain situations that you've had, and how would you have wanted that to be dealt with. So you've got half of the group chat that are like, no, never, we should never join the police, and then the other half are like, you know what, unless we are prepared to work our way into positions of power and influence where we can actually change things.
I hate it, but I have a question.
I had a police officer only a few weeks ago, and
I was gonna even go there,
but that was a clash.
But just
even a couple people hit me up like, yeah, why have you got my man on your channel?
But just before we go there,
I was just like, with him on the channel, I was like, you could have learned a thing or two on how to deal with them when they approach you.
But I hear that.
Down.
But what is being said here is that that's like, with respect to my man, I've forgotten his name, but with respect to him, that's like low level. And until you get higher up the chain and you can change, like I used to work, I say with stroke for the NHS, yeah, and let me tell you, like, categorically, that is one of the most racist organizations I've ever experienced. Like, it's disgusting, like terrible, down to from blood donation to in the actual hospital.
So we're not clapping for the NHS no more.
Like,
I just want to know, could I take back my claps I gave was like?
No, let me
put it like this, yeah. So imagine the NHS. Imagine we all say, imagine that we all agree with the premise that the NHS is racist, fundamentally racist.
Facts.
So if we say, okay, the NHS is fundamentally racist, therefore black people shouldn't work in the NHS, what then happens is when your loved one is in need of care, they're in a racist system, and they're in a racist system and there's no one to take care of them because we already know how they're going to be treated. Whereas,
very valid point.
Whereas what I'm saying is that if we say, do you know what, we have to work our way into those positions so that when we have got a loved one who's in need of care and none of the other nurses are taking it seriously, there is a black person there that can give them that care. And that black person is going to start as a nurse or a low level person, but they will eventually work their way up into position.
Do you know what?
But if we don't make that first step to begin with, then things will never change and it will always be a corrupt system.
Okay, so there's a NHS blood and transplant, which is the subsector I work for, yeah. So NHS BT, there was a report that was published either last year or the year before about racism and sexism and a whole host of
isms and schisms.
Right. So you can read that report. It's do your Googles. It's out there, yeah. But and even with, and I say it expands to even care. And to answer your question, rest in peace, Evan Smith. He was a victim of the system. He was he had sickle cell, and imagine, like, when you actually think about it, and this is somebody who had this experience because he was a black man. Imagine being in hospital and you have to call 999. He was on a ward and called 999. Now, no white person is ever gonna have to suffer that. You know what I mean? You're like, there are so many, and that's a whole nother discussion because we can go into, like, Why is it that a disease that is suffered by predominantly black people have to pay for their prescription, but if I'm a drug addict, I can get my prescription free? It doesn't. There's so many disparities, and it's the problem is within the system is you hit a brick. You hit a brick wall.
I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah,
Jam
I
Assist
saw
QC
that.
or something. She became
I DM'd her still.
the seventh black QC in the UK. Now look at a situation like Child Q. The issue, the reason why things like that are even allowed to happen is because certain people know that they have the badge and they're in a position of power and they can abuse that power without accountability. Now imagine if those officers who did that have to go for their hearing or their trial or whatever, and they're sat in front of Jammer's sister, a black face. Do you know what I mean? If they understand that there are people in positions of power that they will have to sit in front of and be held accountable to these people, they'll be disincentivized to do the action in the first place. Do you know what I mean? So it's very important that we have people in these positions that are able. It's about accountability. If there's no accountability, people will run riot.